Tonight, the computer that helped win World War II, AI is hyperscaling digital inequality. How to disable Gemini in Gmail and Google Docs. Xteink X4 Pro Pocket e-reader review 2026. Fun but limited best gaming laptops 2026. Razer, Asus, Dell, and more. The sharpest image ever taken of the sun reveals a hidden phenomenon. DeepMind's hurricane breakthrough has surprised weather scientists. The first self-driving vehicle on Mars has proven to be a smashing success. An Amazon data center could have the worst polluting power plant in the country. And Google's top hacker hunter explains why hacking groups get code names. We start with the computer that helped win World War II. The computer that helped win World War II. One summer day in 1941, a British radio operator was monitoring German military frequencies and heard something unexpected in her headphones. A later report called it strange new music, sounding unlike the familiar Morse dit-dit-da of enciphered messages sent over the German Enigma network. The new music was a rhythmic warble of binary teletype code being transmitted at high speed. Germany's wartime engineers had developed a radically new encryption and transmission system. It was way more advanced than Enigma, which was patented in 1920. To break the complex new cipher, engineer Tommy Flowers built Colossus, the world's first large-scale programmable electronic digital computer. Flowers previously built Enigma-related code-breaking equipment for Alan Turing, the British mathematician. Colossus was installed in the British code-breaking headquarters at Bletchley Park, about 80 kilometers from London. The room-sized machine weighed around a ton. The computer is being commemorated as an IEEE milestone. The dedication ceremony is scheduled to be held 29 September at Bletchley Park. Decrypting Germany's strange new music. Britain's top codebreakers were quickly all over the new Muse. AI is hyperscaling digital inequality. Artificial intelligence is rapidly becoming part of everyday infrastructure in some places. It helps write emails and software code, filters job applications, powers recommendation systems, and is increasingly being integrated into education, healthcare, finance, and public administration. Industry leaders talk about AI for everyone, while governments rush to publish national AI strategies and build sovereign compute. Yet over the past decade, working on digital inclusion and digital literacy projects in regions from Europe to sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia, I've seen the same pattern repeat. Each new wave of transformative technology lands on a landscape already stratified by connectivity, skills, and institutional capacity. The current AI wave is no exception. If anything, it amplifies those underlying fractures. Still, some countries are exploring ways of participating in AI development without directly replicating the frontier model race dominated by the United States and China. Recent developments in South Africa and Indonesia illustrate both the possibilities and challenges. The stakes extend far beyond access to AI. Countries that remain primarily consumers. How to disable Gemini in Gmail and Google Docs. Have you noticed how desperate tech companies are to get you to use their artificial intelligence features, even if you don't want to use them? They're adding buttons to user interfaces and using pop-up tooltips to implore you to click them and become a dedicated user of their AI creations. Google Docs, for example, is rolling out a giant Gemini bar at the bottom of the screen for some users. I first noticed this feature back in April when it showed up in the Google Docs account I used to collaborate with editors. Apparently, I was part of the pool of users chosen to test the feature. I know people who have never seen this box, and I've seen reports of it showing up for people in the last few weeks. So it varies. If you're one of the users who sees this feature and you don't want it on your screen, good news, the giant bar is easy enough to hide. Click Gemini in the menu bar, then hover over bottom bar preferences and select Turn Off. Do that and the bar is gone. It can't hurt you anymore. But if you'd like to banish AI features from Google Docs entirely, you can keep going. There are a couple ways to stop things like the Gemini menu from showing up in Google Docs. The first, which? Xteink X4 Pro Pocket e-reader review 2026. Fun but limited. Lightweight and compact. Fun to use. Upgrades over the X4, including a touchscreen and home button. Can magnet attach to some smartphones. App makes it easy to send web pages and files from your phone to the device. Tired no built-in store to access ebooks. Tiny screen means constant page turning. Learning curve for accessing and managing EPUB book files. Xteink's micro e-readers are the smallest e-readers I've ever seen. When I think of a pint-sized e-reader, I usually think of the popular Books Palma, which is still the size of a smartphone. But Xteink's line of e-readers is even smaller, so small that they're designed to snap onto the back of your phone, underneath your camera. Last month, Xteink launched the Xteink X4 Pro, an upgraded version of its existing X4 that adds a touchscreen, a home button, and an updated design, making it feel more like a mini smartphone or Kindle. But even with a fresh design, the real hurdle of Xteink's e-readers remains accessing your books. There's no built-in shop, so the easiest method I've found is to have an EPUB file handy, or the URL to a long internet essay or article that you can quickly upload through the app. Both the Xteink X4 Pro and T. Best Gaming Laptops 2026, Razer, Asus, Dell, and more. I've been testing gaming laptops for more than a decade, and I've observed an evolution of sorts during those years. Gaming laptops were once expensive, thick, and altogether impractical, not to mention pathetic in performance compared to a desktop PC. In almost all cases, it just made more sense to buy or build a desktop. Now, not only is a gaming laptop a solid alternative to a gaming tower, but it isn't much larger than its non-gaming laptop cousins. To serve you the very best options for your specific gaming needs, I've reviewed more than a dozen models in the past year, including budget-friendly options and decked-out powerhouses. If one of the options below doesn't work for you, check out my comprehensive guide to how to buy a gaming laptop for more information. Updated August 2026. I've added the Alienware 15 and Lenovo LOQ 15 Essential Gen 11 as alternative budget options to buy. I've also confirmed links and ensured up-to-date prices throughout. Love Wired. Add us as a preferred source on Google to see more of us. Powerful, thin, and gorgeous, the PC gaming aesthetic of the past was loud and in your face, blaring lights, harsh angles, and oversized vents. These days, it's all. The sharpest image ever taken of the sun reveals a hidden phenomenon. For decades, scientists had theorized that the sun's surface must be crisscrossed by tiny plasma vortices, generated by the interaction between its intense magnetic fields and the constantly flowing superheated material. This week, the world's most powerful solar telescope has just confirmed this. The latest image captured by the Daniel K. Inouye Solar Telescope, located at the summit of Haleakala Volcano in Hawaii, shows for the first time evidence of the so-called Kelvin-Helmholtz instability, a physical phenomenon first predicted more than a century ago. The image, shared by NASA, is not the most spectacular view of the sun, but it is one of the closest to how the human eye would see it if it could withstand the intense brightness. Unlike the famous photographs in shades of blue, green, or orange captured by space observatories using ultraviolet or X-ray radiation, wavelengths invisible to us, this image was captured in visible light. As a result, it reveals a landscape reminiscent of petals, swirls, and folds on the star's surface. What exactly does this show? The petals appearing in the image are generated by the Kelvin-Helmholtz instability. This occurs when two fluid current. DeepMind's hurricane breakthrough has surprised weather scientists. In October 2025, a storm brewed over the Caribbean Sea. Weather models differed on its trajectory. Would it remain weak and end up in Haiti, or would it intensify and head to Jamaica? Artificial intelligence model WeatherNext, developed by Google's DeepMind and Google Research, went with the latter. 5 days before landfall, it predicted with 80% confidence that the storm system would hit Jamaica as a Category 5 hurricane. Hurricane Melissa was catastrophic, causing flooding and landslides across Jamaica. But the AI model helped forecasters give an earlier warning to communities in its path, so they could better prepare. In a paper published on Thursday in Nature, researchers show that the WeatherNext AI model can predict cyclones with unprecedented accuracy. On average, it gives forecasters a day more lead time than existing models. This means its predictions 3 days out are as accurate as previous models' predictions 2 days out. On the ground, that extra day can mean a lot. Even a few hours can make a difference, says Mike Brennan, director of the U.S. National Hurricane Center, organizing evacuations, staging supplies, and moving resources to respond to a hurricane. The first self-driving vehicle on Mars has proven to be a smashing success. Sometime next week, NASA's newest rover on Mars, Perseverance, will set a record for the most distance driven by any vehicle on another world. The automobile-sized rover, which landed on Mars in February 2021, will traverse beyond 45.16 km, 28.06 miles, across the Martian surface. In doing so, it will break the previous distance record held by the long-lived Opportunity rover, which ceased communications with NASA in 2018. So how did Perseverance reach this record-setting distance in just a third of the time? A rover that drives itself. The real enabling technology has been its auto-navigation system, said Stephen Lee, the project manager for the Perseverance rover at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, in an interview. Much like self-driving cars on Earth, Perseverance has sophisticated onboard cameras that image the surrounding terrain, and these images are then processed algorithmically by an onboard computer to calculate the safest route. Terrestrial vehicles have some advantages, of course, like clearly defined maps, street signs, lanes, and more. Additionally, there are plenty of road hazards on Mars, from large boulders to sandy slopes. But at least Perseverance does not have T. An Amazon data center could have the worst polluting power plant in the country. To power its new West Texas data center, Amazon is investing in the construction of a new power plant that could be one of the largest single producers of greenhouse gases in the U.S., according to the New York Times. The new gas-burning plant in Pecos County, Texas, has received significant investment from Amazon and, at least initially, would not be connected to the state's power grid. Instead, its 35 natural gas turbines would primarily deliver its 7.65 gigawatts of electricity to the new data center. An Amazon data center could have the worst polluting power plant in the country. An Amazon-owned site in Pecos County, Texas, received a permit to release up to 33 million tons of CO2. According to CleanView, which tracks data centers and their associated power projects, GW Ranch received a permit from Texas allowing for the emission of up to 33 million tons of CO2, more than even the largest coal plant in the country. Plants rarely emit as much greenhouse gas as their permits allow, but it's still notable that the restrictions on its pollution levels are so lax. Amazon has confirmed that it purchased the site and plans to purchase power from GW Ranch. Many companies, including Meta and Google's top hacker Hunter, explains why hacking groups get code names. For more than a decade, the cybersecurity industry has been assigning names to different hacking groups. Some of them, like Fancy Bear, have crossed over into the mainstream because of their prominent hacks and memorable names. Others are only known within the cybersecurity industry. Oftentimes, even industry insiders can't keep track. In part, that's because every company names hacking groups differently. That's why there are resources like this one, which attempt to be a one-stop shop where cybersecurity professionals, government officials, policymakers, journalists, and the wider public can make sense of who is who. Last month, Google became the latest company to revamp its naming system for hacking groups. Gone are the days Apt1, Apt41, or Apt whatever number, which was the system adopted by Mandiant, once an independent security firm that's now part of Google. Mandiant was the first to adopt a naming scheme. From now on, Google's system is relatively simple. A hacking group will have a first name that is memorable and random, and a second word whose initial indicates the country of origin. Castle for China, Ion for Iran, Neptune for North Korea, and Relic for Russia. According. That's all for this news briefing. Thanks for listening. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.